What's going on, guys? I'm C.
Abby.
Welcome back. Today we're gonna be reacting to Jordan Peterson. I'm Not Anti Feminist.
Q&A.
What do you know about Jordan Peterson?
I know from you about him that, I just know he speaks on a lot of issues, and a lot of people don't like the stuff he says.
The stance he's on.
Yeah.
To me, I think he speaks with logic and reason.
I know there was one video I watched that I didn't understand a word he was saying. He speaks so educated, way above my education grade.
With some of his talks, he speak highly intellectual, words that people are not usually. It doesn't mean you're not smart. It just means the words he uses, people don't usually use them in everyday
vocabulary.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't really get.
I just remember you had to explain everything to me. I was like,
Yeah. So today we're gonna be reacting to I'm Not Anti Feminist Q&A. Yeah, let's go.
Let's do it.
First thing I would say is that I'm not anti-feminist per se. I mean, I think the idea that the world would benefit from the movement of talent from both sexes into the workplace as rapidly as possible is something that anyone with any sense should share, given the the rarity of talent and the necessity for utilizing it. I do stand by my original statement, though, that there's a brand of more radical feminism that insists that our culture is best characterized as an oppressive patriarchy, and I think that, first of all, that's an appalling sociological doctrine, and I think it has very negative psychological effects. And they won't be limited to men, because if it's true that there's something toxic, let's say, about masculinity per se, what that will inevitably mean is that as women adopt more masculine roles, traditionally, what is that toxicity somehow going to go away?
But that's a straw man, because no one says there's anything toxic about masculinity per se.
What do you mean no one says that?
People
The term exists.
No,
How is that a straw man?
All right, so I think he's talking about how how this thing's been going on lately. That I guess the West is like a patriarchy, and that that's masculinity in itself is toxic and it's bad. So I guess that's what he's talking about right now. How the feminism we have now is kind of it's like a war against men, and he doesn't agree with it. So he's trying to explain what's happening. And she's saying that no one says that, right? That no one says that masculinity is toxic, and he's like, what do you mean no one says that? Because everybody, all the feminists say masculinity is toxic, toxic masculinity. They have the actual name for it. You know what I mean?
But where did the term come from?
It's a phrase that's used about forms of masculinity that are harmful to men and women. It's not about masculinity per se. You must know that.
I read the American Psychological Association guidelines for the treatment of boys and men, and I know perfectly well that this is no straw man. And it's not only devoted towards what you might describe as the more aggressive ends of masculine behavior. It's aimed at masculinity in a much broader range of. There's a much broader range of accusations that are under the surface than that. And so I don't see in what way at all that it's a straw man.
Let me pause it for a second. So if she's saying that it's toxic masculinity because some parts of masculinity is toxic, right? But I'm pretty sure some parts of femininity is toxic too, and by her definition.
Well, that's anything.
So I'm saying, so why do we need to have a separate?
That goes
thing
to the yin and yang
both
concept.
Ways. It's both ways,
Yeah.
There are things about masculinity that's not good. The thing about femininity that's not good.
Well,
but it's not always negative. It's not always positive. It's more complicated than that.
Yeah, like I was saying, it's like the yin and yang concept. With every good, there is some bad. With every bad, there is some good.
For example, I'm guessing most feminists, right, would say that aggression is toxic.
Yeah.
It's a masculine trait. But sometimes aggression is good. Someone trying to hurt your loved ones, it's good to be aggressive to protect them. Exactly. So it depends on the situation. It's not inherently good or bad. You know what I mean?
It's one of those things when they say that it's bad when in the situation it's bad for them. And then when in the situation it's good for them, they're going to say that it's not bad.
Exactly. It depends on their subjective, thoughts about it, like what's happening to them at the moment. So I think he explains everything like so thoroughly that,
And you can see that he thinks about everything he says before he speaks. You hear the stuttering and don't get that confused with where he doesn't know what he's saying. He's thinking every sentence perfectly clear because he knows that people will twist everything he's saying. And you could tell by looking at his facial expressions on his thinking process.
People will like twist everything you say, especially online nowadays.
Pause that argument for a second. Go to Catherine McGregor. And Catherine, I mean, you've lived on both sides of the gender fence. So, what are your thoughts on these issues? And let's get back to the question.
I don't know whether that qualifies me or disqualifies me. Frankly, sorry, guys, I ratted on the team, but not for any sociological reasons. Intensely personal. I gather we might address that, but. Look, I'm not entirely out of sympathy with Jordan's critique. I'm the oldest person on this panel bar you, Tony, and in my lifetime I've seen rolling institutional crises through the West. The great American settlement based on Bretton Woods and NATO and the United Nations and so on is fraying globally in the area that I can talk about with some authority. We're seeing a dissolving global order now with the rise of two autocratic totalitarian capitalist states, which is replicating the conditions of the 1930s. And I gather we're not doing the geostrategic stuff, but I think it's very alarming. When Robert F. Kennedy, who was my political hero, was running for the presidency of the United States in 1968, he addressed disenfranchised African Americans who were wearing the backlash from many white men who were losing their jobs or perceiving that they were losing their jobs. The deindustrialisation of the West as jobs are exported to the developing world, all of these factors are... Bobby Kennedy said it wasn't Germaine Greer that said it. He said, when you remove from a man the right to stand before his family as a breadwinner, and people will say that's patriarchal.
That's your minute, by the way. So.
All right, well, I'll shut up. But
let me stop with that. You know how the thing that men or like the breadwinners in the household that they work, they work to feed their families. They like that's a masculine thing to do, and now a lot of people are saying, why don't the women do that instead? Like women can do that too. But I don't think we've seen the consequences of that. Because throughout history, men has always been the
because that's always been like the American dream, the white picket fence, the woman being home with the kids and the man working and providing for the family.
That's how it's always been.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like changing it is bad, but like we have to know there are consequences to changing it. You know what I mean? You change how things...
And you have to know that you have to be patient with it too. Exactly. It's going to take time.
If you change how things have been, then you don't really know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
So there might be consequences. So you have to be really careful about how you change things.
Yeah.
Especially something that's been like there for like millennia.
Yeah, exactly. I was just about to say, since it's been there for so long,
exactly.
You need to take baby steps with it. You can't just dive right into the deep end because it will literally mess up everybody. Nobody will win in that scenario. You have to literally like tiptoe into that cold water before you just go right head first in.
The removal of meaningful work amongst especially unskilled men has a political consequence. And it's been washing through the American system since 1980 with the Reagan Democrats, the fraying of the New Deal coalition. I don't entirely agree with Jordan's analysis, but the problem can't be gainsaid. And 3 million books later in 50 languages or whatever it is. I bought your book, by the way, and you're outselling Shane Warne. Now, that's a culturally specific reference. That delights me two ways, because in cricket, no one has more bleached blonde hair or has had more work done than I, but Warne is a close second.
We should put that out on Twitter.
Oh, okay. So that was it.
That was it.
I might have to go longer.
I really want to watch. I wanted to watch more of that.
More of it, yeah.
Like it literally had me interested.
Yeah, I'm probably might have to like a.
Because I kind of like that they had a transgender on there.
Yeah, to like connect both sides and stuff like that.
To talk about both sides because they are on both sides of the scale, and they can project like a middle ground. And I liked how she was speaking because she was saying how she does agree with some of the things he says, and there was like tiny bits of it that
she wasn't like, oh, I disagree with everything you say, which is like, come on, like seriously, like every single thing. I think he was making sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll have to do a longer one of that because that was very, very interesting.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, we'll have to.
We might do another video in the future on that. Keep posted. But tell us what you think. Like, literally, let us know your points of view on this. Let us know what you think about Jordan Peterson and, comment. Tell us.
You think masculinity is toxic? Yeah, I hate it.
I think that it depends on how it's being portrayed. I don't think as a broad scale it is. I wouldn't say that all parts of masculinity is toxic because everything in the world that you do, there could be toxic consequences to, but not the general term.
Yeah, like there's like I was saying,
you can't just say like, oh, all men suck or masculinity is toxic.
That's why feminists are doing this.
You can't because it's not true. Not every single man is a deadbeat asshole. Not every single masculinity thing is a bad thing.
I'm guessing they say the fathers
it goes
and
back
brothers
to that,
also are like, cousins.
Exactly. It goes back to that like yin and yang concepts that I was saying before. If there's always a little bit of bad in every good, and there's always a little bit of good in every bad. You can't literally swing it to all one side. That's my point of view.
Alright guys, so see you next time. Probably gonna react to another one of this.
Yeah, definitely. Bye guys.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.